On the 18th of August 1940, one of the most daring raids of the Second World War took place. Right above me, 9 German Dornier bombers flew at treetop height to bomb this airfield behind me. This is Royal Air Force Kenley during the Battle of Britain. It was the 18th of August 1940. It became known as the hardest day. The hardest day, why? Because more aircraft were shot down on both sides during this single day than any other day during the Battle of Britain. September the 15th is Battle of Britain Day because that's the day where the Germans sent the most aircraft. But on this day, 69 German bombers and fighters were shot down, as well as 68 Spitfires and Hurricanes. You can just see over here behind the Union Jack, there's a model of a Spitfire over there. I'm going to take you through, oh, and there's a Hurricane, can't forget them. The Hurricanes were stationed here at Kenley during that time. There's a common misconception that the Spitfire, although beautiful, was the one that did all the work. The Hurricane was the banger, man. The Hurricane shot down more planes during the Battle of Britain than the Spitfire. But I'm going to take you through the airfield and explain to you this engagement because it's crazy. What the Germans did, if the Allies had done this raid, it's kind of reminiscent of the Dam Busters. There's pictures, I'll show you in a second, right? Just down there, there's blast pens where the Hurricanes were positioned within these E-shaped concrete blocks to stop any shrapnel explosions. But the Germans had war reporters on the Dornier bombers, so it was 9 that hit this airfield, but that's not what was actually supposed to happen. And by the way, it's still an active airfield, mainly for gliding groups and whatnot, but you can walk around the place. But what was supposed to happen, and what was the Battle of Britain anyway? By watching this, I presume you know a bit about the Battle of Britain, but it was essentially the Luftwaffe's plan and Adolf Hitler's plan to take control of the skies, destroy the RAF, destroy these planes over here, yeah, I know they're models, but you know what I mean, destroy the Royal Air Force, gain air supremacy over the English Channel, and then launch a full seaborne invasion, known as Operation Sea Lion, to take control of the British Isles. What they needed to do was to knock out airfields like this one. It's crazy, man, because like, this is a concrete runway. Spitfires and Hurricanes, all they needed was grass, really. But to think right where I am, right above me, only 30 feet above me, those Dornier bombers came streaming in. But as I said, oh, you can just see in the distance some of the blast pens, but I'm going to take you around. I go on tangents sometimes and I get a bit too excited. But to explain what was happening here, it wasn't supposed to be 9 German bombers hitting this straight away. What was supposed to happen, 27 Dorniers would have been at 20,000 feet right above the airfield. They were going to hit the hangars that were right by me. Just in the woods over there is the officers' quarter and the operations room. It's through those trees, you can't access it. You can just see a bit of a building over there as well. Most of that was destroyed. It was meant to be hit by the high altitude bombers first. Then immediately after that, by the way, everything that happened here in this video that I'm going to tell you happened between 1:22 p.m. in the afternoon to 1:27 p.m. in the afternoon. It was 5 minutes of pure hell. But so you had high altitude bombers coming in, dropping bombs, destroying the area first. Then you were going to have Ju-88s, not Stukas, they're Ju-87s. They were going to come down. They were really good at dive bombing too, not as good as the Stuka. They were going to come down and finish off anything else. Now these aircraft, because they were flying higher, radar would have spotted them. The Dorniers, led by a guy called, I think his name was Joachim Roth, he was the leader of the 9 Dorniers. They were known as Staffel. Staffel means squadron basically in German. Staffel 9 or 9 Staffel. 9 Staffel were to fly from France just over the waves of the English Channel, then hit Brighton, use the railway line from Brighton to guide them towards Reigate. From Reigate they would then continue to Kenley, and they literally flew right above this, and they dropped their bombs so low, each plane had 20 bombs, that they just bounced along the runway, hitting planes that were trying to take off. That was the plan. Didn't work at all. What actually happened was those aircraft, the 9 flying super low, actually got here first. And they already knew they were coming because Navy patrol boats in the Channel had already spotted them and made people aware. They didn't know exactly where they were, and I forgot to mention too that to protect these bombers was 150 Messerschmitts ME-109s or BF-109s, whatever you want to bloody call them, it's the same thing. So you had hundreds of planes, about 200 odd aircraft about to hit this airfield where I am standing. And here you had a squadron of Hurricanes ready to go. And you can see some of the buildings behind me just here. They've been rebuilt now, but they were heavily destroyed during the war, and there is some ruined ones further along. Now, the squadron of Hurricanes that was stationed here was already alerted. At Croydon and Biggin Hill and Kenley, they knew the high altitude formation was coming, so they did something known as a survival scramble. It was just get everything in the air as fast as possible. So there wasn't that many aircraft on the ground when the Germans hit it, but you can imagine the surprise of those 9 German Dorniers. They're expecting to hit an airfield that is completely already obliterated. But Kenley had not so many defences, to be honest. It had 4 Bofors anti-aircraft guns positioned around. I'll show you where they were. But most of the armament was Vickers machine guns, and old World War I machine guns, Lewis machine guns. That's what they used to take out these German planes as they approached the airfield right behind me. I just found a sign actually that tells you a little bit about it and where I am. Welcome to Kenley, Battle of Britain Airfield. And I have been here so many times. That's a blast pen over there, and there's a cow over there. I've been here many times. I grew up in this area. I've never seen a cow here before, right where I'm about to film, but we're going to go over there anyway, because Dorniers, they generally had about 4 to 5 crew. You could fit 4 men would man one of those bombers, but you could have an extra person. Because this raid was supposed to be the raid, the Luftwaffe raid to knock out the Air Force, if they had succeeded, the world would be a very different place. And because the Germans knew it was so important that if they, because by the way, they did this one, they did Portsmouth, they did Biggin Hill all on the same day, but I'm just specifically talking about this airfield because that's where I am. But if they did knock out these airfields on that day, God knows what would have happened. But because it was so important to the Germans and they were making history, they had war reporters on each of the German bombers that approached this airfield. There is a very famous picture taken of this blast pen, right? You can see a Hurricane. I'll overlay the picture now. You can see a Hurricane in the blast pen and smoke all around it. And it was taken right here. So the German planes literally just came straight across here. It's mad. There's blast pens all around, and I'm going to go and show you in some more detail about it. But it's mad. That picture is crazy, isn't it? Like how low they were flying. But they also, not only was the armament machine guns and anti-aircraft guns, the British had some new technology that no one had ever seen before, and it completely surprised these German pilots. And they had, whoa mate, look at that cow. I feel like I'm in Normandy in the hedgerows. Cows are dangerous. Cows kill more people than sharks, by the way. This nothing to do with World War II, but cows can be scary. I got distracted by the cow. Anyway, this new technology that they had, this new weapon, was parachute cables. Oh, there's another cow over there, bloody hell. There were parachute cables that were fired from the other side of the airfield, right? And the way it was designed, this cable would shoot up with a rocket and would create a massive trail of smoke, and the rocket had fire coming out of it. And the Germans described it as they were just like, they didn't know what they saw. They had never seen this sort of technology before. You had barrage balloons that worked similar. Have you ever seen those like mini Zeppelins, and you got the cables coming down to hit the wings? But these were fired, and they waited right until the bombers were coming across the airfield, and all the guys manning these parachute cables fired them at once, and they just streamed up, hundreds of them. One plane, immediately, one German plane was hit, and the way it was so effective was a parachute would be at the top of the cable, and then if it impacted something, automatically a parachute would open at the bottom of the cable. And so you have this massive metal cable with 2 parachutes creating drag on the wing, and immediately the German Dornier nosedived into the airfield. There was another one that got very, very, very lucky, and nobody believed him when he got back to France. Most of these German bombers were shot down and crashed. Some of them ended up in the English Channel. I'll tell you more about them. But one of them, an anti-aircraft gun just over there, I'm going to take you to the gun position in a minute, started hitting him. So he turned this way. As he turned, I should have an Airfix model to describe this, but as he turned, the cable hit his wing and scraped off the wing and rolled off. He could feel himself being pulled down and had no idea what it was. When he got back and told the Luftwaffe what had happened, they said, "You're just crazy, man. Something crazy. The raid was too much for you. We're going to put you on leave." That is not possible, but it was. There's a little bit of information here, actually. It shows you some of the bunkers, what was going on here. It's mad because I grew up in this place, and this story, although around the airfield there's little bits of information about it, there's not too much. Like, it is such the hardest day. Oh, fucking cows. The hardest day is just so unknown about, and it should really, really be known. And that's why I'm making this video, to tell you more about it, because this was incredible what happened here, and it's just not spoken about. Can you even, I'm not sympathizing with them for a moment, but also the bravery, oh my feet are wet now, of the German pilots doing this raid. It's mad, it is actually mad. From the anti-aircraft gun as well, which I know I've said repeatedly I'll take you to, the lead pilot was hit in the chest and killed. His navigator didn't know how to fly a Dornier bomber, but he jumped out of his navigator position, pulled the pilot out, literally just over there, and flew the plane. It was one of the ones that made it all the way back. I'm in the blast pen now. We're going to talk about that in a second, because another plane that was hit, German plane that went down, just over those trees is one of the most famous photos of the Battle of Britain. It's wreckage of a Dornier, and it's right over there. I've never actually tried to look for it, or like marry up the image, but I'm going to for this video. But where I'm standing is where the Hurricane was in that picture. This is the blast pens. This is where Hurricanes and Spitfires at other times during the Battle of Britain, they'd be in here. How mad is that? And this is the exact one, the exact blast pen from that photo I just showed you. I'll show you, like, you can't really get into them because they've all been sealed off. But the whole design of this was, you have inside of here, like a little trench network inside. So if you knew, so for example, those pilots and the air crewmen, by the way, quite a few people were killed here, and I'm going to take you to the cemetery and show you the men and the women that were killed. If the planes were coming over, which is just blowing my mind, that was right in front of me, people would have ran, oh God, it's straight in a puddle, straight into this blast pen. And you would have gone through this door that is now locked and hopefully survive. It's kind of surreal, really, isn't it? This shows you an image of a dogfight over the area. Crazy, really, isn't it? And it tells you here, Germany lost more than 1,700 aircraft, nearly twice as many as the RAF. Mad. This area was so important. There's a pub called the Wattenden Arms. If I have time, I'll go to it, have a drink there as well and show you, because that's where the pilots used to drink. It's right at the edge of the airfield. There's a massive crater next to it, and it's just where that bomber crashed. There's another blast pen with some sheep over here as well. I haven't been here for such a long time, to be honest, and now it's a farm. I suppose they keep the grass at bay, innit? As I mentioned, that survival scramble at Croydon, which is, if you know Croydon, where the Colonnades is, where like TGI Fridays used to be, the Croydon airport, first international airport ever, that was a World War II Battle of Britain fighter base as well. Hurricanes from there had taken off, ready to intercept whatever may come here. One pilot, I believe I might be wrong, I think his name was Stanley Connors, was a Hurricane pilot, immediately came over these trees, intercepted a German bomber, chased it, but the rear gunner of the Dornier took him down, and he was one of the first to be killed in the action of that day. Many more would later die, but he was one of the first. There's another story here from a man called Gunther Unger. I'm on a blast pen again. Mental, isn't it? This is one in the E shape, by the way. But Gunther Unger was here, and he was chased by a 19-year-old kid called Harry Newton in a Hurricane. Now, what's amazing about their story is Harry was 19 years old, flying a Hurricane, came from Croydon, Royal Air Force Croydon, was chasing this bomber, and he saw a stick of bombs hit some houses. It would have been on that side. You can see houses in the distance over there. They're new, but it would have been over there. He saw bombs hitting the airfield. Hitting the houses, but what he actually saw was the high altitude bombers that were just coming in a few minutes afterwards. He thought the Dornier that he'd locked eyes with was the one that dropped them, and he was like, "You're not getting away. You're definitely not getting away." He chased him. He had 8 machine guns in his aircraft. The German only had 1 machine gun that was capable, what the hell, a fly just flew in my mouth. Must have been a German fly. Anyway, he had 8 machine guns in his plane, and he knew that he could take out that German so easily because it was 8 guns versus 1. And by the way, in 1 second, a Hurricane would fire 160 bullets. Many of these planes, the ones that survived and when they returned, they had hundreds of bullet holes in them. It was crazy. People also seem to think that most of these aircraft had cannons and stuff. The British ones, that came a bit later. There was only 1 Hurricane fitted with 20mm cannons. Most of them were 303 Browning machine guns. But Harry was a bit too confident, and immediately his engine was hit and filled with smoke and fire. Oil went all over him. He was soaked in petrol from the engine, and he had 3 pairs of gloves on, and they burnt through every pair of his gloves. He decided to bail out. But he was so angry at watching this row of civilian houses. A few civilians were killed around here. He was so angry that before jumping out, his whole face was burning. He had to have skin grafts and everything afterwards. His hands had melted. He was about to jump out and went, nah, I'm having you. Completely blind, couldn't see, fired every bit of ammunition for 13 seconds and then jumped out, completely on fire. He landed near Oxted and was taken to hospital. Most of my research for this is from a book called The Hardest Day. That book was written by a man. His name, I think it was Douglas Price. I'm going to put the name over the top now. I should know, the book's in my bag. But he had a chance meeting with Gunther Unger at this German bomber crew reunion in Germany, and then somehow managed to have a chance meeting with Harry Newton, and the two came here with airfix models of a Dornier bomber and a Hurricane and reenacted their combat. And they remained close friends until they both later died of old age. How crazy is that? Harry and Gunther were trying to kill each other right over here, and they became friends. War is hell. It's just sad. There's like a quote in Band of Brothers as well with the, I can't remember the name of the sniper, and he's like, I killed someone, and he was like, I wonder if we could have been friends in later life. Probably. War from governments pits people against each other and ideologies, and it's so sad. But where I am now standing, this is where people survived. I'll go through a little bit of, it's mad, man. Like this, I actually don't know what that is, whatever that piece of metal is, but that's from the Second World War. You can see parts of it have been rebuilt and repaired. They would have got pretty well damaged. But I know some friends when they were younger actually snuck into one of these. Oh, there's lots of fawns, and they found one that was open. But yeah, I'm not getting in there. I would have been curious just to see what was in there. I have been looking around to see if I can see any graffiti from 1940, but you'd be hoping that the German bombs, wouldn't get you. But it's just incredible, man. It's getting a bit windy for an airfield. Good job there's a windsock, I can tell how windy it's going to be as I'm talking. But out of those German planes, 4 of them were shot down around this area. Only 2 of them made it back to France completely undamaged. Some of them had to bail out. The one with the guy, the navigator, I'm pretty sure he made it all the way back, and he actually was awarded a medal for that, which, to be honest, although the enemy, kind of deserved. And it's just crazy to me that this all happened right where I am. It's a massive airfield. I don't know how long this video will be of me walking around. I've taken you to some of the blast pens. I'm going to take you to the anti-aircraft gun site now. I'm going to take you to the memorial. That's something that, a tangent again, it wasn't just one squadron that was here the whole time. There's a big misconception about that as well, that I've seen a lot of people seem to think this, and it's wrong. Here, oh, now I just said that, someone's going to fact check me and get me now. There were so many different groups, right? Here it was Fighter Group 11. That was the south of England and London. That was overall commanded by a guy called Keith Park. He was a Kiwi, New Zealander from Thames, that ruled this part. England, or the United Kingdom, was divided into 5 groups just for fighter command. I believe this is where I think I'm going to get it wrong. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 groups. And you also had, it didn't just start at 10, you had groups for bomber command, like group 5, I'm pretty sure, and then coastal command and things like that. My point is, this was fighter group 11. Now, a whole squadron from here, after fighting for a couple of weeks, going to the pub, watching their mates die, they would then be sent to the north of England in a rotation, and it would just keep changing like that. So on the memorial, that's why I just remembered to say this, on the memorial, there's something like 20 different squadrons, maybe even more, that served here. So it wasn't just one that fought. There's people from all over the UK and the Commonwealth. So many people fought in this battle. Like, the Poles were involved in this as well, especially on this day. In other days, Czechs, Jamaicans, Kiwis, Canadians, Indians. So many people fought in the Battle of Britain. And the Battle of Britain, for me, is the most decisive moment of the Second World War, because imagine the Germans had invaded America, the United States. They would have had to invade us. They would have had to D-Day us from across the Atlantic Ocean. Never going to happen. Would have been so different. And it's crazy now, like that aircraft above me and how the world has changed. I wasn't going to film this video today because when I got here, there was thunder, lightning. I had to hide for a bit, but now the sun has come out. I'm going to take you to the anti-aircraft gun anti-aircraft gun site now as well. But it is also, yeah, it's still Ministry of Defence base. I can walk around it. and I could actually just walk in there, but I'm not going to. Now, just down there, down the hill, is Kenley itself. It's a small little, it's not really a village, it's a small little town, but you also have Whiteleaf, Caterham, Purley. These areas, local people will know the names of them. The high altitude bombers that came here, everything was clouded by smoke. They didn't expect that either. So they just dropped their bombs wherever they could. And the Messerschmitts, there were so many planes, there was hundreds of planes above me, all hell was breaking loose. They just loosed their bombs. And these are one of the planes that Harry Newton saw. But they dropped their bombs all along here. There is a story about a woman here. She was in an Anderson shelter as the planes were coming along. Her name was Kathleen, and she was hit. Her fiance, actually her husband, I'm pretty sure, and her mum were in the house. The house was obliterated as they were getting into the Anderson shelter. When she eventually came to, her arm, she was a nurse, she noticed her arm was like almost completely severed and her feet were completely crushed. She survived. But the little story which kind of makes me laugh is because what people do in these situations, her mum was very elderly. It was a Sunday when this happened. She was making a roast dinner. Their house is obliterated. When the rescue forces come and they're digging them out of the Anderson shelter, all that's left amongst the house is the oven. And inside the oven is the roast dinner. And although her daughter is missing an arm, her mum was like, I don't care that the house is gone, I'm having my dinner. Amongst all the flames and the smoke, probably the shock of what they had just had happened to them, went to the oven in the demolished house, pulled out the dinner, sat on some rubble and started eating the dinner whilst her daughter's half dead. What a crazy story that is, but it's the shock of what happens to people. You behave in mysterious ways. This sign I found, these are all fairly new. I haven't been here for quite a few years, but this sign will help me explain with the map of what happened. So the Dorniers came straight across this way, across the airfield, right? We are here, we're at the back of the airfield. The hangars, there were 4 hangars, 3 of them were destroyed. The officers' mess I can't access. The Portcullis Club is what I showed you at the beginning. Ministry of Defence land beyond that point. I'm still waiting for someone to come along and be like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm filming World War II documentaries, mate. But see this Gulf Road along here? That's where the plane crashed, just over there, which I'm going to try and find in a minute. And along here, you can see the blast pens everywhere, right? This is the one where the picture with the Hurricane that I showed you earlier was taken. This is where the cables were fired across. But it's just mad, isn't it? Anyway, right, off to the anti-aircraft gun. Ironically, you can hear the drone of an aircraft, a propeller aircraft behind me, whilst I stand on the anti-aircraft gun position. Now, I don't know for sure, but on the maps, this is where one of the 4 Bofors AA guns, anti-aircraft guns was. You can see, now it could have been something else. It could have been one of the Vickers machine guns or the Lewis guns on a bipod here. But there were 2 guys stationed on one of these, and as they saw, you can tell why it's here because of, look, you can see the whole thing. The guy standing in here would have seen everything. And there's a short story of one of them. It might be one of the ones next to me, or it could have been this one. It's from the book I was talking about. One of the guys is like, oh, he's looking over there. I didn't realise that they had Blenheims, Bristol Blenheims stationed here. They didn't, because he saw the twin engines of the Dornier out in the distance. I can see how you can get confused. He thought it was a Bristol Blenheim Royal Air Force plane. He later said, plane identification is very important in saving your life, because he had no idea what it was. But these guns where I'm standing opened fire, and it was a gun from this position I'm in that hit the lead plane of the right flank. So the Dorniers came in little triangles, basically, of 3, all in a line abreast, right where I am. He hit the first one, and that's the one that came crashing down onto Gulf Road, just on the trees behind me, which is what I'm going to try and find now, if I can climb out of this bunker. Oh, bunker, anti-aircraft gun, gracefully. I got a torn ACL. Makes life difficult. That is just a marker over there. Sometimes they'll say WD, which means War Department, but that says AM. I don't know what that means. But I'm going to continue along now. The airfield is huge. I'm in the area of the anti-aircraft guns. There's a little, not a bunker, it's where I think another gun was. I don't know for sure, but something was definitely there. Then I'm going to take you to the War Memorial, Gulf Road, maybe the pub. So keep watching. Whoa, look what I just found. I told you I've been here so many times. So, wow, I'm on top of a blast pen now. That's not a bunker. That is, wow, how did I not notice that? Look at it. I'm gonna drag the selfie stick out, put the phone in, see what we can see. We're going in. If I drop my phone in there, oh, I feel like an EOD guy. So I can't really see much. There's not much in there, is there? But wow, So that's a blast pen. Now it's important to note, out of all the engagements that happened that day, one of the most that left the biggest mark was the fact that the Stukas got wiped out near Portsmouth. I'm on another blast pen now, they're everywhere. But this didn't happen at Kenley, what I'm about to tell you about now, because although what happened at Kenley was 5 minutes in a Sunday lunchtime afternoon, the attacks continued until sunset. They also hit West Malling, I think Hornchurch was hit, Biggin Hill was hit simultaneously to Kenley, Forney Island, there was a radar station near Portsmouth that was hit, and Gosport was hit. And in Gosport and Portsmouth, those areas, it was the Stukas that came in for dive bombing attacks. Now the Stukas were great at dive bombing. I think most of you know, they come down Sirens of Jericho. In that steep dive, 80-degree dive, they are so effective. They are so fast, it's very hard to get them. But as it dives down like that, when you drop your bomb and pull up out of the dive, that little bit, you were very slow. That's what the pilots waited for, the British pilots, for them to come out of the dive and then they hit them. So many Stukas were knocked out that the Luftwaffe never used them again in the Battle of Britain or attack in England, because they needed them to attack the Royal Navy if they launched a seaborne invasion. So the fact that the Stukas got absolutely destroyed on the 18th of August 1940 as well meant so much, because they never used them again. It's mad, this little blast pen here. But it wasn't just here, that's what I was talking about. I'm at RAF Kenley. Look at that, just crazy, isn't it? Relics of war. I'm at RAF Kenley, but it happened all over the place. Biggin Hill was hit, not in the same fashion as this one with the low bombers. It was hit by Heinkel's, I think about 60 Heinkel's, protected again by hundreds of Messerschmitts. But luckily for the Germans, sorry, unluckily for the Germans really, most of the planes had taken off already. So not that many were damaged. I think 8 Hurricanes were destroyed here at Kenley on the ground, and a few were shot down, but just in the Kenley area. But throughout the day, so in this area of Kenley and Biggin Hill, about 30 aircraft, I believe, and both sides were shot down. In the whole day, it ended up totaling to more like 140 altogether were shot down, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. And I believe this here is some form of RAF anti-aircraft bunker, and that little thing over there is, I think that's where the Vickers machine guns were. Let's go check it out. Bear with me because the microphone just died. I'm going to swap them out in a minute, but this is where the Lewis and Vickers guns were hitting the planes as they came over. And luckily for me, somebody has put this here showing you exactly the Imperial War Museum picture of what it looked like. They would sit in a little chair inside there taking out the German planes. Okay, time to swap the mics. As you can see, the windsock is very windy here right now. Hopefully DJI microphones, it's not an ad, do the job. But I was just about to go film just round here at this blast pen over there. There's a picture of the German plane that crashed just over here, which is what I'm going to try and find. But there was a woman with 2 very, very scary dogs. And I've been attacked by dogs in the past, and nice normal dogs I'm fine with. When you have some big dog off a lead that looks like it would just kill me, no thanks. So I actually jumped onto the other side of the runway. That bloody dog would jump straight over that fence. But damn, if you have like scary dogs like that, and there's another bloke walking past with a Rottweiler who was just like, damn, that was a bit, like, sensible. This woman did have 1 dog off the lead, 1 dog on the lead, but the one on the lead was a psycho. Anyway, we are off to try and find Gulf Road. Here is actually the same sign that it tells you about the airfield that I showed you already earlier. We're leaving the airfield now. I might come back, but if I can figure out how to get through. How the hell? Very hard with a selfie stick. Give me a minute. Now, although it was a World War II airfield, it's a recreational site now for joggers and dog walkers to go around it. The airfield is right there. If I can manage to cross this road, there is a massive crater or a pond. There's no like pavement here. Let's see if I can get across. Da da da. Okay, I just tried to show you a bomb crater, but things got a little bit hills have eyes. There's a bloke just like living at the bomb crater. There's like a little bench and things right where that car nearly hit me, and there's just a dude there, so couldn't really film it. So then I came down the road. This is Gulf Road. The airfield is just behind me. This is where that Dornier came crashing down and hit here. It hit a place called Sunnycroft Farm, which I believe is one of the houses along here. I've already walked up and down, I can't really marry it up, but I'll go down and show you where I think it actually landed. Obviously, that's a different fence. Who knows, it could be from World War II. No, it's definitely new. But I think it is around these trees here, where the image, I'll put it now, I believe this is the spot where that German Dornier came crashing down after it was hit. But I'm gonna go back to the bomb crater now, because this road is weird, very strange. So this crater was likely caused by that German raid. You can see it just around me. The pub is just around the corner, but that was probably from one of the German bombs during the Hardest Day raid. But Kenley was also hit 15 times after this during the Battle of Britain. So it could have been from anything. It could have been someone excavating it. I look so strange recording this, but that is more than likely Luftwaffe bomb damage. Okay, slight change of plans, the weather. Oh man, I just went into the Watton Arms pub and it's great, it's filled with memorabilia. I'll show you in a second, but right now, oh man, there's like thunder and lightning right by me on the airfield. It looks like night is falling now. You could, oh shit. I think I need to get undercover. Like, that's actually genuinely fucking terrifying. This video had a complete change of plan. Microphone's died. This is the war memorial. Oh man, just coming here quick. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. It's true, and I want to tell you their story, but as you can see, shit's oh, you can hear it. Look at it. Oh man, wild. I'm on top of a hill. Nothing else around, just lightning and thunder. Damn. You know that meme with the tornado guy and he's like, hit the 30s, oh shit. Oh fuck this, man. I need to get out of here. Fuck this. Goodbye to the airfield. The Second World War, Hardest Day airfield. Oh man. Well, damn. That was crazy. I just got an Uber in the middle of the rain to take me back because it was mad. It's kind of stopped now. But one thing I wanted to point out is the names of these roads around here, right? A lot of the roads have the names of pilots that were killed. This is Halton Road. Derek Halton, killed age 21 in 1940. There's one over there, Egan Close. He was 19 years old and he was killed in the Battle of Britain. Oh, the thunder's still here. Oh man, this is not a mood. I was meant to take you to St. Luke's Church in Whiteleaf, right? It is where there's numerous people who were killed in the Battle of Britain. If you watch the TikTok videos or Instagram, it's on there as well, and some of the YouTube shorts. But I'm not going to be able to go there today because it's just a bit weather. You just saw that. Nah, no, thank you. Well, that was unbelievable, wasn't it? Like, I think I've destroyed my phone. I can't charge it. It's got water in it. The microphones, like, are all wet. Like, literally, I think they're broken. But the whole purpose of this was to tell you about this story and the Hardest Day. It's actually Alfred Price. I think I got the name wrong earlier. But it's such a good book. And I was just sitting in the pub, the Watton Arms, with two people, and I was talking to them about this book. They didn't ask to learn about the book, but I just started talking to them and saying I make history things and everything, and they were lovely. The pub is really cool. It's got loads of memorabilia. Like, I'll put it now. It's got the King visited. It was the auxiliary mess for the pilots. So when these air raids were happening, they would be chilling in that pub, and after they were fighting, they'd be having a pint in it as well. But I think I've put some of the pictures from this book during the video as I've been talking. But it's great. It's got lots of original images of what was going on. These are some of the German planes involved in the battle. But one of the most famous images, which I should already have put in this video, is taken over the airfield. So these are the images of the attack. You can see there, this one here is a low, like, look how low the plane is. I'm still wet, still saturated. But that's of Bletchingley. This is over Beachy Head. Look how low those planes are. Like, that is crazy. But it's just, and these are the pictures taken by the reporters. This is the maddest one, which I spoke a lot about, and I should have put it in the video already. I must have done. But you can really see here where I was standing earlier, and this one is where it's been doctored to make it look like the damage was worse than it really was. Down here, you can see there's bullets kicking up dust from the ground. Up here, the propaganda has made it look like. It's been doctored by the Germans to make it look worse. This is part of that plane in Gulf Road where I was earlier, near that old picket fence. But crazy, isn't it? This is from Coulsdon. This picture is Kenley burning. From Coulsdon, these are the hangars, these parts that were destroyed. This is a hurricane. Is it a hurricane? Yeah, a hurricane that was hit in the raid. It's crazy. You can see part of the wooden fuselage in there. What I wanted to do was to take you, like I said, to St Luke's Church at Whiteleaf. First church in the UK to be bombed by the Germans. But that weather just caused a great deal of financial loss to me. But, so you wouldn't have been able to hear me anyway. I'm inside. I don't even know if you can hear this. But yeah, damn. That was it's quite scary, to be honest, being out in that thunder and lightning. It was mad. Absolutely mad. I should have just stayed in the pub for another shandy. But there's 6 dudes that were killed on the 18th of August on this hardest day, buried in Whiteleaf. And I guess now I'm going to have to do another video on them. But there are TikToks and Instagrams, like I said. But it's crazy. And here next to me, I have my little model planes. I've always been a nerd. This one was bought for me by a dude I used to work with in New Zealand. But this is what was happening on that airfield, man. Spitfires, Messerschmitts. I don't know where my Hurricane is, but I'm just waffling on now because I'm just in shock that I nearly got struck by lightning. You saw it in the video, it's right next to me. Oh, God. But I hope you've learned something from this video and I hope you've enjoyed it. And that is a story of the hardest day of the Battle of Britain.
The gratitude of every home in our island, in our empire, and indeed throughout the world, except in the abodes of the guilty, goes out to the British airmen who, undaunted by odds, unwearied in their constant challenge and mortal danger, are turning the tide of the world war by their prowess and by their devotion. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few.